Welcome to the video presentation titled When Pastors Seek Other Employment. In this video, we explore an area which can be very challenging. When a pastor who is serving a congregation or has accepted a call to serve a congregation intends to be bivocational but doesn't have the other job yet. This topic did not emerge in the LTS research project. Nearly all pastors we surveyed and interviewed came to bivocational ministry after they already had a job outside the congregation. Ministers enter this job hunt for a variety of reasons. First off, some anticipate being bivocational before becoming a pastor. Perhaps they sense a call to new church ministry, and this is a model that they want to pursue. Or they grew up with bivocational pastors, and it is deeply ingrained in their sense of pastoral identity and call. Some lose their job while they're pastoring. This happened to a number of people during the COVID-19 pandemic. Some have relocated to a new setting, perhaps to a new congregation, and the job they had before, they can't keep it. And also some find that they cannot live on the compensation provided by the congregation. Sometimes this is a realization over a period of time where a pastor accepted a call and thought that the compensation was adequate, but realizes it really isn't. Hopefully the lay leaders also come to this realization. But also it can be because there's a change, either in the pastor's life or in the congregation, and so they need to reassess the situation, and the pastor needs to become bivocational. To explore the issues involved in this topic, I interviewed Packard Brown. We did an interview in February 2022 on Zoom, and we recorded it. Packard lives in Denver, Colorado. He's a career coach, author, and speaker on the topic of bivocational ministry. He served as director for career services at Iliff Seminary and has also worked several years in the corporate sector as an executive search agent. He has coached hundreds of students and bivocational pastors about their career pursuits and has shared his expertise on the bivocational model of ministry in numerous settings. In this video, I'm sharing some of the highlights from our interview, but if you would like to watch the entire 35-minute interview on our Zoom recording, I'm providing access to that interview in our course as well. Packard and I began the interview simply by reviewing some of the opportunities that other employment can provide to pastors. Being involved in another job outside the congregation often allows ministers to hone their skills and develop new skills as well. Often the other position, another setting, often provides a context for extending a person's ministry. For instance, he gives the example of a minister who became an Uber driver and had stories of how that driver found significant opportunities for pastoral care while he was an Uber driver. So Packard uses a term called cross-pollination that I really like too. Basically, he's saying that this cross-pollination takes place where experiences and skills used in one setting enhances what they do in the other setting. And plus, Packard is really encouraging. He's saying that ministers shouldn't be panicked about being in the job search, that they have many skills that may be very attractive to other employers. Some of the big challenges that ministers face when they look for the other job are things they need to do. First off, they need to do the work to uncover job opportunities. They shouldn't just expect to pursue the first thing that comes available. They need to look for things that will be good for them. They also need to assess their own skills. Think about it, what they do well, what they like to do, and what they would like to do better. They also need to develop their capacity to describe their successes. Packard talks about how storytelling is really helpful here. And also he says ministers really need to resist that critical voice about themselves that often makes itself known. Ministers can fall into the habit of thinking that there's nothing else they can do outside of the church. And it's just not true. And Packard says you need to resist doing that. One of the areas we really explored was about the really difficult situation where individuals are serving a congregation. They were not bivocational or hadn't intended to be bivocational when they came to the congregation, but something has happened and now they need to become bivocational. I've phrased this when congregations have let them down because that's what it feels like. Packard says what we really need to do, though, is really resist personalizing it. Even though a congregation has let you down or the compensation is no longer adequate or it's had to change, resist that temptation to make it personal and to become adversarial or bitter. And Packard suggests two areas that I think are really creative responses to this situation. Is first off, sit down with the decision makers and try to learn more about what's going on. Sometimes pastors don't know that much about the financial situation of a congregation, and this is the time when you should learn more and try to become partners with lay leaders in assessing the problem. There may be other areas that provide avenues to allow this to be a productive conversation. And also, Packard talks about how much support the congregations can really provide in this process. They can provide financial support for pastors during the job search because it's benefiting the congregation when the minister finds this other job. Also, a congregation can serve as a network of contacts. They can provide job leads and introduce the pastor to people that might be good connections. And also serving as a network for prayer, that encouraging the whole congregation to pray for the pastor as they engage in the job search. Some words of advice Packard shares for those who are planning on pursuing this job search in the secular world is one, to take time to develop concrete ideas about the skills that pastors would like to use and develop so that you're targeting what skills you would like to be able to use in this other position. Take time to research what fields are growing and look at what kind of reallocation is taking place in some job markets. So there are new opportunities that are making themselves known. He encourages pastors to look online for a couple reasons. There are online web-based work that might be available, and those employers don't care where you live. And also there are online advertising services so that can help you make connections online. Also exploring remote work options. Look for portable jobs, things where you can really keep that one job throughout your ministerial life, but you don't have to stay in the same location necessarily. You can have some flexibility if you want to move around. I love the phrase that Packard uses. He connects the strengths that ministers find in themselves and also where those strengths can carry them. And I think those are great parting words of encouragement for ministers who have to get into that job search and look for that job outside the congregation.